It's Kayla with Kayla's Cricut Creations, and welcome back to my channel. In this video, I am going to put together some fall DIY projects using my Cricut machine. Here's some of the products I picked up to make for these projects. The Burr months are my favorite time for crafting with my Cricut. I would love it if you subscribed if you are new to my channel, and let's get into the video. For my first project, I found this glass vase at the Dollar Tree for $3. I thought it would be cute to add vinyl to the front and put some lights inside or little pumpkins. I also found a wood Lazy Susan that I'll show you in a minute and decided it would look cute sitting on that. I got on TikTok to get some inspiration and saw some accounts put a thinner vase inside a wider vase, so I went to Michael's and bought this one. Michael's is actually a really great place to look for several different size vases. I saw all different kinds there. This large vase was on sale for $8.99, so that's a great price. Here's what these look like after I washed them with soap and water. They were so dirty before, but it looks so much better. Then I took my large vase, that's the one I'll be adding my vinyl to, and I measured the front of it. I decided about 5 inches for the width would be good. I'll be using Tech Wrap Crafts Chrome Bubble-Free Vinyl. I love using this on glass because it really doesn't show bubbles, and look how pretty it is. First, I'm going to upload the SVG that I found. I found this off of Creative Fabrica. That's where I get all of my SVGs, fonts, sublimation images, and things like that. They just have millions to choose from. It's such a good website. I always have a link down in my description box if you want to check out their membership. They always have such a good deal on their yearly sale, which comes out to just $3.99 a month. All of the images I'm using today comes from this website, and I can link each one individually in the description box as well. As you can see, I had measured my vase and I decided 5 inches would be good for the width. Looking in the layers panel, there is 2 different layers that are grouped together, so I need to attach it so that it will look exactly like this over on the Make It screen. I'll come down and select Attach. I'm using an orange vinyl color, but I'm just going to leave this black because it's all going to be one color, so I'll hit Make It. My mat keeps automatically going to 12 by 24, which is so annoying because I have to change it every time. The majority of the time I'm using 12 by 12. I need to look into it and see if there's a way to change that. For this type of vinyl, I'm going to select holographic vinyl. This vinyl has a protective sheet on the outside to keep it from scratching when it's stored, so I like to use my paper cutter to cut it down to the size of my design. These paper cutters have a ruler that pops out, so it makes it so easy to measure it. The only thing I would recommend is I would make it just a little bit bigger than the design because I have had times where I thought I measured it really well and the Cricut cut off part of the design. I remove the protective sheet, then place it on my cutting mat. After that, I use my brayer tool just to make sure it's pressed down really well, and I have the Cricut cut out the design. I like to use my pen tool to weed out adhesive vinyl. It just works so well. It makes it really easy in between those little letters too. I add transfer tape. I'm using the Caesar brand. It is my all-time favorite. I will make sure it's linked down in the description box. It just works so well. My cup cradle that I have is so awesome, and what I really like about it is I can adjust the different sizes. So that's what I'm doing here. It took me a second to get both sides to work, but once I did, it makes it a lot easier to use that wide vase. Now I'm ready to add vinyl to the vase. Sometimes with curved surfaces, you have to take scissors and cut slits in the transfer tape, but this laid down very flat and nice, so I didn't have to do that at all. This vinyl color is just so beautiful. It's perfect for fall, so now I'm excited to put this all together. I bought these fairy lights from Amazon, and what's nice about these is it comes with a remote, so you can easily turn it on and off. It also has different settings with different, the lights do different things, so you can do that with the remote as well. First, I tried to unravel these lights, and it was just getting tangled up from the beginning. It was just not the easiest thing to do. What I did first was just wrap the lights around the inside vase. That's what I saw they did on TikTok. I placed it inside the larger vase and it started kind of falling apart. So I think I needed to start from the bottom and going up. And then I think they actually put the lights in the inside. Anyways, I tried putting it on the outside. Then I started filling it with that filler and you can see the string lights. So I decided to redo it. I found this fall pumpkin acorn filler from Hobby Lobby. They had orange pumpkins and white pumpkins. It's just perfect to fill these vases up, so I definitely recommend those. When I went to redo this, my string light was just a complete tangled mess. I could have opened up another one because this pack came with more than one, but I decided just to shove the whole thing in that little vase. This was much easier to add all that filler around the outside. That inner vase is a little bit taller, but since I had already bought it at the Dollar Tree, I decided just to go with that. I'm adding in some leaves. I found these leaves a few years ago at Michael's. I didn't have the camera angled too well because you can't see the top of the flowers, but once I was done, you can clearly see that the vase was taller. It didn't cover up the that whole area there. So it probably depends on what type of flowers you buy. But I had little pieces that I could put around that outside of the vase to make it look more filled in, and it covered up that inner vase. I struggled to get the remote on. I pressed it a few times. It finally turned on. There's 8 different modes, I think. So here's some of the different splashing lights, which is really fun that you can switch it. This one was my favorite. I just love how beautiful this turned out. It makes it feel so cozy in the house. It's also fun because you can fill it with whatever filler you want, whatever faux flowers, so it's really fun. For my next image, I'm going to sublimate on this white tote that I found at Michael's. This one is a specific sublimation tote that I found. My kids are 10, 7, and 2. We go to the library constantly picking out books for them, but we always have a ton of books, so I thought it would be really cute to have a fall-themed bag to put the books in as we leave the library. I measured the tote bag, and I think 8 to 9 inches for the width should be pretty good for the size of my design. I'm back in Cricut Design Space. I'm going to print off my sublimation image from here, but I also really like to use Canva. When I saw this image, I was just shocked by how adorable it is. I just love reading. I love fall. It's my favorite time of the year. I was also excited about the books because this will be perfect for a library tote. For my size, I thought 8 or 9 inches for the width would be good, but since I'm printing this off in Cricut Design Space, it's too big. Even though they increased the print and cut, it's still somewhat limited. What I'm going to do is select this exclamation mark, and I am just going to select Auto Resize Image. Okay, it looks like it's not working, so I'm just going to start dragging it in until that goes away. Okay, it looks like about 7.93. If it was going to get where it was too small, I would have just gone over into Canva, but that should be good. That's all I have to do for this, so I can just hit make. I'll hit continue, send to printer. I have never seen this pop up before. I don't know if it's something new, but I'll hit next. I'm going to turn off my bleed because I am not going to even be cutting this on the Cricut machine, and I'm going to use system dialog. I also need to switch this to my sublimation printer, and I'll hit print. I already have a sublimation preset, so I don't have to change any of my settings. I always like to show what I'm using though. For color matching, I have Cosmos ink set up. Here is my print settings. I'm using a sub for my sublimation paper, and I have the Epson EcoTank print out my design. I have had issues with this printer lately. I went a while without using it and I didn't print it, so the machine is clogged up, and oh my gosh, I have tried everything you can think of to try to fix it. I'm just worried that I'm going to have to buy a new printer. I might just get a sublimation printer. I'm not sure. We'll see. I use a lint roller to clean off the tote before I add my image. I'm using my large Easy Press 2 for this. You can use a heat press as well. I set it to 385 for 40 seconds. I tried setting my Cricut heat mat inside the tote, but it was too large, so I just set the tote on top, and I made sure to make it as flat as I possibly could, and it ended up working out fine. I preheat my tote for about 5 to 10 seconds. Then I cut around my design. After I'm done with that, I place it face down on the tote and use heat resistant tape to tape around the whole edge of the design. Place the Teflon sheet on top, then I place my easy press on top of that. I just keep it in place, press it pretty firmly. I forgot to show taking it off, but I let it run down the full 40 seconds. Then I remove the paper. Here's how the bag turned out. I just love the design. It's so adorable. I honestly don't love the tote bag though. I don't know if it's just the all white, which it has to be for sublimation, but I am curious, has anybody sublimated on burlap? Because I might give that a try. I think it would give it some fun fall vibes. Here's a comparison from the ink and what the actual image looks like. So there's something wrong with my ink, like I said. I need to get that figured out. For my next project, I found this at the Target Bullseye section for $5, and I thought the design on the front was so pretty with the different colors and pattern, and I thought it would look really cute to add some vinyl to it. I'm using more Tech Wrap Craft vinyl. I was just in the mood to use this holographic vinyl for these projects. It's just so pretty. I'm going to grab a guide first. I'll grab a square. The size of that canvas, not counting the frame, is 9.75 by 8 inches. I'll go up to operation type and switch this to a guide. Then I'll grab my image that I'm going to be using for it. I thought this was so cute. I haven't decided where I'm putting this. I might put this in my dream box. I might put it in my kitchen, my bathroom. I'm not sure yet. So what I'm doing is just sizing it inside of here. Okay, I think that looks good. It's about 9 inches for the width. Now I can just hit make it. I forgot to attach it, so I'm gonna hit cancel, click on here, and I'll hit attach. Once again, I'm using the color green, but I don't need to change the color in Design Space because it's all one color, which makes it really easy. This is the same type of vinyl as before, so I will select holographic vinyl. This vinyl also has a protective sheet on top, so I just cut it down to the size. I just can't get over how pretty Tech Wrap Crafts vinyl is. It's all so unique. I just loved crafting with it. When that's done, I weed out my design. I also want to know, are you more of a fall decorator or Halloween decorator? I'm kind of a mixture of both. In September, I get all my fall stuff out, and then October, I get a little bit more of my Halloween stuff out. So I was just curious. I add my transfer tape, then I'm ready to scrape it down and add the vinyl to my sign. Also, I'm curious, I've seen so many TikToks where people are saying they don't like signs with wording, they don't like any of the tacky fall or Halloween decorations, but I love those type of decorations. I just feel like it makes the house really cozy. I don't like it when it's too much because sometimes it gets a little overwhelming, but I'm curious, how do you like to decorate? I started adding it here, but the vibes, it's a lot of green, so I flipped it around so that you can see that a little bit better against the pink shades. Then I removed the transfer tape. If you're ever struggling with that, place your scraper tool right up against that transfer tape as you're removing it, and it just really presses that vinyl down and it works so well. And here's how this turned out. Next, I'm going to use felt to make a fall leaf banner. I'm going to upload my leaf designs. I found a big bundle from Creative Fabrica, but I decided just to choose 3 different ones. So I'm going to add these into the canvas. I'm just going to make them a little bit smaller and separate these out. First, what I think I'll do is size these. I decided 4 inches for the height for all 3 seemed like it'd be a good size. I'll click on this and switch it to 4 inches. I'll do the same for the other 2. I want to cut these leaves out of felt, but this inside design, I decided I wanted heat transfer vinyl, and I'm going to use my Easy Press Mini to heat it onto the felt. Basically, I want the orange leaf outline for the felt, and I want this piece to be its own layer so that I can have it as HTV. Right now, it looks like it's kind of sliced out of this, and as you can see, there's only 1 layer, but I will show you a way to make this work. I'm going to hit Command D to copy this. Then I'm going to use my contour button, so I'll click on that. What I'm going to do is I'm just going to select the bottom piece. I'll click out of here, and now you can see I have the solid piece of the leaf. Then I'll come to this one. I'll select contour, and this time I'm going to select the top piece, and I'll just click out. Now we have 2 separate pieces. I'm also going to change this to a yellowish color, kind of a light yellow. I do want this leaf to be orange felt, so I'm just going to leave that. Now I'm going to come over here and duplicate that. I'm going to do the exact same thing. Also, I'm going to show you how this will look. It's just going to go right on top like that. I'll hit contour, and like I said, I'll just do the same thing. It's pretty quick and easy. I want to make sure I change this to that same yellow color as this one because it's going to be cutting off of the same heat transfer vinyl. For this leaf, I want it to be red, so I will grab a red color. Now I'll go to my last one. I want this one to be yellow, so I can just leave that, and then I just want to make sure to change this one. Okay, we have all of our pieces. Now I'm ready to hit the make button. I'm going to be making 3 of each leaf, so I'll go up to my project copies and select 3. That gives me 9 leaves, and I'm putting it on the crown of my dream box. I'll show you a video once it's done, and that seemed to be the perfect amount. I need to come down here and switch this to 12 by 12 again. I'll hit continue. I'm going to select felt. It automatically, for some reason, goes to my fine point blade, which just does not work with felt, so I'm going to hit edit tools and select my rotary blade. Actually, you can use the fine point blade if you have the Cricut Explore Air 2 or the Joy. There's a way that you can cut out felt, and I do have a video on that, so I can link it down in the description box if you want to check that out. First, I'm going to grab my rotary blade and place it into the Cricut machine. I don't have a pink fabric grip mat right now, so I'm using the purple one. I also have a great tip. Place transfer tape sticky side up and then place the felt on that. When you do that, the felt sticks to that instead of the mat. It has completely ruined my mat using felt, so I love this hack. I love watching the rotary blade cut on the machine. It lifts up and spins. It's just fun for some reason. When that's done, I remove the felt. Then I picked up the leaves, and the little stems did not stay attached, so it was just too thin. It didn't work. I went in and just cleaned it up with my scissors. And I had the Cricut cut the orange and yellow felt. For those, the stems didn't work as well, but that's okay. Also, the felt I'm using is the Critology brand from Michaels. I'm not using the premium felt, so if you want a thicker banner, I actually probably would recommend that over what I'm using. However, what I used did work. Once these are done getting cut out, it will have check marks by them. I decided just to film this before I cut these out just to make it easier for me. But down here, I am going to select Everyday Iron On. Also, it'll automatically mirror it. Once again, I'm using Tech Wrap Craft Vinyl. This is metallic pearlescent. I also always recommend Caesar heat transfer vinyl. I just didn't have a huge range to select from at home, so I chose this one. This was difficult to weed. Normally I start at the corner of the vinyl and that was not working, so I decided to start in the center pieces of the little vines, and that worked perfectly. I'm using my Cricut Easy Press Mini. For felt, I like to set it on the low setting. I found all 3 designs that went with the orange leaves and just set those on all 3 of them. Then I run my Easy Press Mini over the Teflon sheet for about 20 seconds. Then I remove the carrier sheet, and look how well this adhered. It looks so pretty. I followed the exact same process for all of the others. I'll grab the cording that I'm going to use for the banner. This is just my favorite. It's nice and thin, and it's just such great quality. I'll link it down in the description box. I rearranged the leaves kind of in order of how I want them on the banner. I'm using this small metal hole punch to put the holes in the felt. I needed something that was going to be tiny, and this works well with the cord rope. It's blurry here, but I'm adding holes in the other leaves. I like to do it on one end to the other so that it makes it easier for it to hang flat and straight. Then I add the cord through all of the leaves. Here's how the leaf banner turned out. I just think it's so pretty. I love the gold heat transfer vinyl that I added to it. Just gives it a special touch. I also have clear acrylic shelves in my daughter's room that I put books on, and I think it would look so cute on that as well. For my last project, I found these at the Dollar Tree. This is a fall themed Lazy Susan and it was $5. I also picked up this fall decor. It kind of looks like a charcuterie board, and these always look cute laying against a backsplash in the kitchen. This was $3. First, I'm going to sand these down a little. I'm also going to use one of these masks because it has dust that kind of picks up and you don't want that going into your lungs. I went in and lightly sanded both of these down. I grabbed a wet paper towel just to clean off all of that dust and everything that the sanding picked up. You can stain these, but I decided to use baby wipes and acrylic paint. I really like this method. It makes it look like it's stained on the wood. The paint that I'm using is Nutmeg Brown. As soon as I started painting this, I realized this is going to take a ton of coats to cover up all that wording, especially with the black wording on the other piece. The main reason I wanted to paint this is because I didn't like the color of the brown. You honestly don't have to use your Cricut for this. You could just paint it on a couple coats just like that and keep that Hello Fall design. I think it would look really cute. I let it dry for a little bit and then start adding in some more coats. Here's the desired effect that I wanted. I wanted it to be this color. You can see kind of the wood graining through it, even though this is not real wood. But because it wasn't covering up those letters, I decided to get a paintbrush or paint roller instead. As you can see, the paint is just getting way darker than I wanted it to, and it's just taking tons and tons of coats of paint. So I don't know if I should have just sanded it down more, and maybe I could have gotten more of that wording off. But now that it's done, I'm ready to add Mod Podge to it. You can do Mod Podge or polyacrylic. When I started adding the Mod Podge, it was kind of a pain to put on, so polyacrylic would have been so much easier. As you can tell, this was just a struggle. Also, the plan was to add a stencil to these, but the painting just took forever. I decided to cut out vinyl and add adhesive vinyl to it instead, and I'll show you how I put that together in Cricut Design Space. I'm going to go in and grab some guides again. I measured the round tray and it's 13.75 inches. For this one, it was 7.687. I've uploaded the 2 images that I'm going to be using. For this one, I'm going to use the warp feature because I want it to curve, and I figured the warp feature was probably the easiest way to do that. I'm going to use 2. I think that looks really good. I'm going to make this just the tiniest bit smaller, but other than that, I think it's a good size. I want it down at the bottom, and then whatever sits on top of it can go around it and won't cover up the design. Over here, I am going to get rid of the It's Fall, y'all. I'm going to ungroup this. For this, I'm going to make it just a little bit bigger. It looks like it's almost 7 inches for the width, and I think that looks good, so I will hit make it. Oh, I need to attach it again. I keep forgetting to do that. I'll select holographic vinyl. Here I'm waiting out the vinyl. The Cricut's already cut out my design. Now I'm ready to add these to my boards. Adding polyacrylic or Mod Podge like I used onto the paint before I add my vinyl just helps the vinyl stick so much better, and I don't seal the vinyl with anything since this is permanent vinyl. There was a few brush strokes in the wood that I didn't like, so I decided to paint over the part that didn't have the vinyl. Clearly, as you can see, it looks pretty bad. It's probably because I already had Mod Podge on it, so what I'll probably do is take the vinyl off and repaint that spot and recut vinyl. So I'm not thrilled about that. It'll bug me enough that I'll have to redo it. Here, I'm just adding a few things on the Lazy Susan. I love the vinyl that I chose. I mentioned that it was Tech Wrap Craft bubble free, but I think I forgot to mention that it's mirror chrome and it just looks super pretty. That is it for my fall video. I really hope you enjoyed it. Let me know which project was your favorite. Also, let me know what projects you're working on this fall. If you're new to my channel, once again, I would love it if you subscribed.